What's up, everybody? Welcome to the annual "If we were general manager, this is how we would fix the Yankees" episode.
But also kind of realistic, maybe.
Kind of realistic, but we've done that in the past, and that's not as fun as just saying "fuck it."
I know where you're going. Someone, not to foreshadow or anything, but okay, here we go. I expect some Andrew Bold prediction-esque GM plans.
This is like the Logan and I went down some rabbit holes last night. So this is a 4th or 5th or 6th year that we've done this. I don't know about you guys. It was this year I was the most torn between essentially bring the same team back or completely blow it up to smithereens.
Yeah. Ilya and I were on the phone for about 2 hours last night, going through a lot of these things as well. And, the first thing I said to him when I got back on is like, man, I just don't see a lot of obvious things to do to improve this team, especially through free agency. There's just a bunch of old dudes in free agency, washed up old names in free agency is what I really see. And then you're looking at the trade market and you're identifying other teams that can benefit from the pieces that you have. And there were a lot of fits that weren't great. And then some that you really had to go looking for. So yeah, I agree with you. I think this was one of the tougher ones. And honestly, as much as the Yankees say this, and they didn't say it as much as they have in the past in the press conference, but they probably could have. I actually do think that this team, the one that they had, was probably the closest that they've had roster construction wise, and actually did get nabbed by injuries and just like bad timing towards the end of the season, because I do think that the roster construction of what they had was capable of winning. So that's what also made it more difficult.
The August 1st on paper roster was so far and away better than what they ended up trotting out there in the playoffs for the actual roster. And I think that's where a lot of the trouble came for me, Logan, is that it's like, well, are we bringing the same team back? Well, it's not the same team, but like that's a sorry excuse that we heard last year too, when they brought Rizzo and Gallo back, and everyone's like, well, it's the same team. And then people are like, no, it's not the same team because those guys weren't there on opening day. So it's like stuck between those two, rock and a hard place kind of cliche thing there. But the other thing that I think we were struggling with, I don't know if you guys struggle with this as well, is that not the decision to bring back Judge. Spoiler alert, Judge is in our plans, but the difficult thing was that if you don't bring Judge back, then you kind of have to take the route of blow it up. At least that's how we approached it. So we did bring Judge back. I won't tell you exactly for how much yet, because I want you guys to go first, because I feel like I always go first. But that was also like it was like there was Judge and then there was everything else.
Yeah. But there was also, we didn't go down the rabbit hole of if we don't re-sign Judge, this is what happens. We can talk about
we went down some rabbit holes. Let me tell you.
We talked about it a bit.
We had some pieces acquiring from a Southern California team.
Well, yeah, okay, that's the obvious thing. Yeah, fine. The easy thing to go to is Shohei Ohtani and looking for some options to replace a superstar in the same position. Like, yeah, okay, we can have that discussion, but let's keep this within the Judge parameters, because I feel like that is the big elephant in the room with the way that things will happen.
So the way we always do it is we each lay out our plans and then tear them to smithereens. Mm-hmm. Is that how you want to do it, or do you want to sort of go back and forth?
No, we's just put it out there. Just put it out there. I'll give you some broad strokes here, and then I'll tap my guy Ilya for some color commentary on the moves.
Because it's the same teams as the deadline. Yes. We had Scott and Ilya and myself and Logan teaming up at the deadline last year. That was good. It's like GM pairs. It's Billy Bean and Fat Jonah Hill. I can't think of his name right now. What's his name?
Yeah, Fat Jonah Hill. Yeah.
No, but what's his name in real life?
Jonah Hill.
No, the freaking guy he played.
Oh, in real life, his name is Jonah Hill. The actor's name is Jonah Hill.
Anyway, go.
Okay, so all right, here we go. And just to clarify also, just to make sure that we're all speaking the same language, the luxury tax number that we are all like circling 270. Yeah. Is that where you guys were like seeing as far as like a bar?
What's your question?
Above,
No,
below.
so the penalties are 233 for the first one, then 253, 273, 293. Those are the 4 penalties.
Cool. Just making sure that we were speaking the same language here, because often that is subjective as well, depending on where the fuck you're looking. All right, so here we go. Free agents. The first free agent that we are signing for the 2023 year is Mr. Aaron Judge, the new captain of the New York Yankees. We signed him to a $324 million deal over 9 years. That ends up being a $36 million AAV, and a very, very tough pill to swallow, considering the original offer was at $213 for 7 years. Trout's AAV is 35.5, which
I thought it was 36.
35.5, which puts Aaron Judge in the lead for AAV. And when you're looking at the comps for right field contracts as well, it exceeds Mookie Betts. Obviously, Mookie Betts was, I think, a 12-year deal, so the total number was a little different. But you're looking at a situation where Aaron Judge is walking into his age 31 year, 9 years, which goes up a couple from where the Yankees. I think that gets the deal done. Would I be surprised if it were higher than that? No, I wouldn't. I would not be surprised if it were higher than that, because it may take a little bit more for them to get it, depending, on another crazy owner trying to outbid and set a new market for him. So, but they have to do it. No matter what, they have to do it. But what it does end up, like that particular contract ends up really making those extra 2 years from where they could have been at $50 million a pop. That's where those extra 2 years, it's basically like a penalty for not signing him ahead of the year, which makes me a little bit happy that Aaron Judge stuck it to them a bit. Good for Aaron Judge, to be honest. And they just better re-sign him. So we are re-signing him. The other thing we are doing is obviously the qualifying offer that we've heard about for Anthony Rizzo. I really like Anthony Rizzo. When I look around on the first base market, I don't see a better option, to be honest. It fits this team, this chemistry. I think Aaron Judge and Rizzo do like each other and a lot, and playing together is important to them. I think that they worked out a deal with him, and we are bringing back Anthony Rizzo, 18 million AAV, 54 million over 3 years. So $2 million bump from.
Can I stop you for a second on the Rizzo thing? Because you touched on something that Logan and I were also talking about.
Okay.
I agree Rizzo is the best free agent first baseman fit for the Yankees, but there are other options that are interesting. Brandon Belt, Jose Abreu, Josh Bell, like all of those pieces, while maybe not as ideal a fit as Rizzo, are valuable pieces that could fit on the Yankees.
Sure. I mean, you just trying to set some up for you choosing a different first baseman?
Nope.
Okay.
I'm not. But what I'm saying is that I actually think that benefits the Yankees in negotiation with Rizzo.
Oh, okay. So there's competition on the first base market is what you're.
Yeah, it's not like, I think Rizzo does have leverage. He's opting out. He knows he can get more than 1 year, 16 million, which I agree. He's worth more than 1 year, 16 million. But he doesn't have the Yankees over a bag because they could pivot to one of those other guys.
Yeah, I agree with that. There's also, but then also, there's competition for that first base market. So there could be a new market set as far as cost. So it could drive the money up. Who knows? Depending on what other markets are doing. Okay. So free agents. So I'm staying on free agents before we get to a couple trades that we've maneuvered here. The next free agent, and again, this goes back to us having the same conversation about, do we bring teams back or do we not? Andrew Benintendi playing left field. This was a weird contract because he signed a 1 year, basically a prove it deal with Kansas City for $8.5 million. And, when you look at what the market dictates and there's a bunch of sites that had some predictions out there. I thought they were way too high. But we're giving him a bump because I do think he's going to get a 2 to 3 year deal at $40 million for 3 years. Andrew Benintendi, the starting left fielder for the New York Yankees for the next 3 years. And what that does is that, again, it just brings a level of consistency at the plate, and it brings a level of consistency in left field, which I believe they need. What was the last thing we saw in the playoffs was Yankees not knowing who's playing what position, inconsistency. Nobody could get into anything. Like, give me a guy that's going to play and do it well and fits the makeup of what this team needs. So I think a full year of Benintendi is a good thing. The last free agent signing that we are completing is Andrew Chafin. Just opted out of his contract with the Detroit Tigers at a $6.5 million deal. And we're bringing him back for 2 years, $20 million with a third year option. And that puts him, a little bit closer to where the reliever market is for what he's doing. He is also in the contract that he cannot shave the mustache. So he has to shave the chin part of the mustache, but we're bringing back Goose Gossage in the form of Andrew Chafin. Brings a good lefty arm that has high leverage experience, and I think is a good addition to this bullpen that does need some retooling given injuries and free agency.
Doesn't Chafin look like the bad guy in Major League? the I think it was on the Yankees in Major League, or was it on the Tigers? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think it was the Tigers
guy too. It's the Tigers. Yeah.
He looks like every reliever from 1979. And I want that energy to stay with him and coming over here because it works. Okay. 2 trades that we made. Ilya, you got anything about the free agents? Any color commentary?
Nothing really. Left field was weird. There's not that many. I was just even going through just all the left fielders. There's not that much. Nothing to get excited there.
How much money in total free agent contracts on an annual value did you add?
Well, hold on. We'll get to that because there's trades in here that are and we have them in the same amount of money actually. Okay. Trades. We are going back to a trade that did not get completed at the midseason and one that Ilya and I almost predicted on the dot. I mean, it was pretty damn close, to be honest. Like, we were pretty spot on with our midseason GM predictions here. We're going back to Miami. Going back to the well, the Derek Jeter-less Miami Marlins. And we are trading for Pablo Lopez and Edward Cabrera. Edward Cabrera is a fireballer. Dude had some elbow tendonitis issues this year, but he's a young guy controlled through 2028. And Pablo Lopez is a guy that fits in nicely with the rotation. I think we're going to have to pay a little bit more than what obviously the deal did not get done at the deadline. So the deal that we have here, and Ilya, I'll let you. Actually, Ilya, you lay out the deal, please.
Yeah. So Glaber's in the deal and Peraza, like it was originally. Adding Cabrera into the deal, we're giving up Everson Pereira, our outfield prospect. I think he's number 6 in the organization. And then we're giving him Florial and Davy Garcia. Florial and Garcia are both out of options, so that's part of it. Florial does have some value left according to that baseball trade value site, whereas Davy doesn't, but it's another body, another arm for them to have. See what they can do.
Yeah, and I like Cabrera. I like Cabrera a lot. I think that he was a guy that I was looking at actually first, last night when we were looking at this. And the attendant, so having him as like the one piece made me a little nervous just because of the injury, elbow tendonitis last year. So I think having him as a second part, because he's a guy that doesn't need to perform at the highest level in April and May next year. Like, they can bring him along. If he ended up being like a very good bullpen piece, I could see even that happening at some point too. So he's just a really good arm, and I think the Yankees need more young arms that are able to make an impact. Okay, so that was the first deal. The second deal here is the one that's going to shake things up quite a bit, and that's why we're leaving it to the end. So we're going back to the trade market because we need to address some things. We need to address some flexibility because, as we all know, the Yankees and Aaron Boone love the flexibility and the ability to move guys around and play different positions because they can't make decisions on who plays what. So they need the excuse to then bring everybody around. This guy's will help that as well. But it's also there's a precedent for what has happened here. We're going out to Colorado. All right. We're going out to Colorado and we're going to relieve them of some things because they made a bad decision last year. They made a bad decision in signing Chris Bryant to a team that is not going to do anything at any point, at any given, within the next 5 years. So why are they going to pay him $27 million over the next 5 years? That's stupid. It makes no sense. Literally no sense. They did it with Nolan Arenado. They signed him to an extension and then traded him to the Cardinals. Clearly, the management there has no idea what they're doing, so they're going to break it back down and get out of some money. So what we are doing is we are sending Josh Donaldson, we are sending Aaron Hicks out to Colorado, which gives them this next year. It's almost a wash. It's pretty close to a wash as far as dollars, but it allows the Colorado Rockies to get out from underneath that contract much earlier. It allows the Yankees to get rid of Donaldson and basically do what Minnesota did to us with Colorado. But it does make sense because it gives them a lot more relief on the salary side. And then Aaron Hicks can go in Colorado and hit golf balls, 500 feet or 500 yards and be great. And that's purely that's a move that I think helps both teams in the fact that Colorado with Donaldson, you can play third base, still compete. And Hicks can play in the outfield. And Chris Bryant comes into the New York Yankees to play third base, but also does have the ability to go out and play left field if needed. He's played multiple positions over the past. We're keeping IKF as more of a utility guy, so he's got the ability to flex around. With Glaber being gone, with LeMahieu's injuries over the last 2 years, it's really tough to just completely depend on LeMahieu, I think, at this point. So I think having someone who can roam around in IKF is a good thing. And I think that's probably better. He's better suited in that role rather than going out there as an everyday guy and can play. Cabrera stays on the team, obviously. And again, is another guy that can roam around. It's an extra outfielder, giving him some more time in spring training, get him to, just be that Ben Zobrist, like true utility guy who can go any position. I like that for him. Plus he can play shortstop at a pretty good level. And then we're starting Anthony Volpe at shortstop. We're going to create there's going to be a battle. I think, if IKF is still around, like it gives a chance for a little bit of a veteran battle in spring training. But at this point, Volpe has nothing more to do in the minor leagues. He's shown at every level. And we just watched Jeremy Pena win the MVP of the ALCS and the World Series. And we've seen this multiple times with guys who are very young contributing at a high level. So the Yankees need to do it. They need to pull the Band-Aid off and just start Anthony Volpe. And I love the fact that Chris Bryant is reunited with Rizzo, get some really good veteran present jujus. I think it helps the bats. And yeah, a full season here allows the Yankees to I think finally find their groove. God willing, they can stay healthy. Ilya,
what was Chris Bryant's injury last year?
Lower back, and like a foot thing. It was nothing like crazy. It was just like little lingering things.
Yeah, I mean that was.
I'm not overly concerned about his injury.
We were mocking the Rockies last night too, as we were looking around teams. It's like you trade Arenado because you don't want big money at third base, and then you immediately go inside. It's just like the most ridiculous decision ever.
It makes no sense.
So
it makes no sense. So this is like here's another do-over for you guys. And I do think it helps both teams.
Then they'll just go out and sign some other
and then trade them again. Like they're playing a game here.
So what's the final luxury tax number?
The final luxury tax number we have is
260.
260,508.
Oh, 260,508. So you've got room. You've got about 13 million.
We do underneath that 273. Penalty. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
So and that's the Bryant contract, when you look at it at an AAV level by shipping it. And I think the only way we're getting rid of Donaldson is if something like this happens, where you can allow someone to get out from under a contract that's more long-term and then pay it for a short. Otherwise, I don't know how we're getting out of that. Like,
can I ask you guys something about the Donaldson contract? Because Logan and I were confused about this too. So he is signed through 2023. He has a 2024 club option that includes an $8 million buyout, which was converted to a $6 million mutual option upon the trade to the Yankees. So what that means is the Yankees owe him nothing in 2020.
They owe it's a $6 million option, and the buyout is $6 million. So he's getting paid $6 million no matter what.
In 2024.
Correct.
Okay,
so it's a $27 million hit. Is that right? Is that what we had it?
No, because it's 25 in 2023 plus 6 in 2020.
So it'd be 34.
A total. Total. Yeah, you're right. 32. It was like 32 total is what it was when we looked at it.
Okay.
Because there was $100 million gap between the deal that we were sending for Chris Bryant. So we were contemplating them throwing in some dollars for it as well, because they threw in $51 million spread over X amount of years for Arenado. Actually, Arenado is going to be, I think, the second or third highest paid person on the Rockies payroll next year because he opted into that deal. It was such a bad deal. So I don't think they're going to make that same mistake, but I do believe it helps the Yankees still. And it's manageable, the salary given getting rid of Donaldson. And I think he's definitely a better player at this point.
Couple other thoughts on your guys' plan before we do ours. I think your Benintendi contract is way too low.
Too low?
He's 28 years old. He's getting more. You had 2 years?
3.
It was a 3-year deal.
He's getting at least 5. There's no way.
Why did he sign a 1-year, $8.5 million deal with Kansas City?
Because he was coming off an awful season in Boston.
No, wait. I have a question. Did he do that? Did that buy out an Arbia? Or was that?
Yeah, I think it did buy out an Arbia.
I feel like there's no way that he would have signed that as a
it bought out an
free
Arbia
agent.
And he was coming off a bad
year.
We
looked at this. It did. That was not very clear.
It looked like
that
he
was.
It looked like the last year under contract from the Red Sox was when he got traded to Kansas City. Yeah, it was unclear.
He had a couple because he could have been a Super 2 guy.
It's true.
Okay,
so
either way,
the thing.
Either way with Benintendi, if it's like he's the right guy for that position, in my opinion.
I agree.
So if it's a little bit more, we do have some room under the 273 to.
Do you guys think the 13 mil AAV?
That's also
low.
It's
slightly.
I don't think it's that off.
When we were coming up with a contract form, we ended up not signing Benintendi because we couldn't fit his contract in reasonably. But we could fit that contract you gave him in to our plans more.
You think he's getting more than 15 million AAV? I don't think so.
We came up with 5 and 85. That's the precedent that's set for left fielders of his age.
Who was that?
Seiya Suzuki got 5 and 85 when he was posted. And the market value on Spot Track for him is actually like 17 point something million. So 5 and 85 is about what he's going to get.
I don't think he's getting.
I think it's a little bit less than that, but I don't think it's going to be like. I think it's going to be like in that area. I just looked on Baseball.
I think he's going to get a 3-year deal with a 4th-year option, something like that, and it's going to be probably 13 to 15 million.
So just to clarify the contract, in 2020, Benintendi signed a 2-year deal with the Red Sox, which was buying out arbitration years. 2022 was still an arbitration year.
Yeah.
So the $8.5 million this year was his last year.
Arbitration buyout for Kansas City. It was just a takeover of what the Red Sox did. Okay, fine. That's fine. We were a little unclear on that, honestly. We're looking at it last night. So even bump it up, we'll raise our.
I think you bump up his AAV.
I'm still signing it.
Yeah, that's fine. I think,
and we still have the room.
You have the room. I think for keeping it realistic, you probably got to bump up the AAV. And then also, this is something we struggled with. Why would Miami want Gleyber Torres at this point?
Because they have they have 2 years left on him. He's still a young guy, brings a little bit more of a veteran. You gotta bring him into the clubhouse. You need some veteran guys.
We were just trying to find a team that is like on the bubble of competing. That's who would want Gleyber Torres. I don't think Miami at this point. It didn't make sense that they wanted him at the deadline last year. I mean, if they want him, they want him. But like, I don't understand what 2 years of him does.
So here's the problem.
We had this deal without him originally, And it was hard. It was tough for us to find a partner for Glaber. We were looking at the White Sox or the Giants, maybe.
So
we looked at the White Sox and the Cubs.
The White Sox need a second base.
I
think the White Sox make sense.
At this point, it was more so what's changed for the Marlins from last summer to now.
I don't know, maybe they came to their senses. Maybe someone was like, hey, this does nothing for our franchise.
Yeah, I mean there was interest. So that's the thing.
Yeah.
There was interest there, so it's not far-fetched, and I think that he's still a young guy that has 2 years, so coming into a young team, I think there's certainly a benefit there.
All right. I mean, I like some of your plans. I really like the Chris Bryant creativity. I don't love Chris Bryant like as the third baseman for whatever the next number of years he's under contract for. I think it's just
well, he can flex it. That's the beauty because he'll play other positions.
Yeah. So like, but like I do like I do like that idea in general. All right. Anything else?
We bolstered
the
bullpen. We bolstered the rotation. Got some live arms. So I think it puts.
Yeah. What does Pablo Lopez realistically slot in as? Probably like the number 4 pitcher, right?
I have him as
he's got
3.
a 2-3 ceiling. Yeah, he's got a 2-3 ceiling.
He was really bad in the second half.
He was bad in the second half.
Yeah.
That was my question. Do you guys think his value? I mean, I don't think his value was hurt much, but were you guys also surprised on how low Edward Cabrera's value was?
Yeah.
Yes. And I was one. So we put that in the first deal when we were looking at that. That was the guy that I was looking at first and foremost. And then Ilya put it in, and it was what? It was so low.
5 or 10.
It was like
or something.
Like, why is it so low? And I don't know if it's because of the injury, the elbow tendonitis.
Because he was a top prospect.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess he still kind of is, but he's nasty. I mean,
he's nasty.
He's awesome.
I just don't know if he's going to be a long-term starter, and that's why I'm thinking that if there is some concern there, the value might be down because of that also, and injury.
We also looked at the Brewers' arms, and sending Glaber there, but then they picked up that their option on Colton Wong, so that kind of, and then the Lopez deal was just familiar, so we figured.
It was familiar and there was interest. Like it should have gotten done, actually, if you're thinking back at it. All right. I don't want to talk too much because we may trample on some plans here of yours or not. So let's go. So I appreciate it. You said we were really good. That's the first time I think you've ever said that.
Oh, I said I liked some.
I mean, we've been good every time, but it's the first time you've acknowledged.
I said I liked some, and I thought some were.
You didn't say that at first.
Yeah, there was nothing unrealistic about it.
Benintendi. It's the first thing I said.
No, it's not unrealistic. I'm giving some dollars. We're under the cap. We're ready to go. It's fine.
It's not a cap.
All right, so I'm just going to go through how we went about it, like the moves in the order that we came up with. The first move that we did was non-tendering IKF. Good riddance, buddy. You can't handle playing.
Shocking that Logan's touching a plan that gets rid of IKF.
I will tell you that that was the first thing I said.
It's not like
I already
we entertained adding him back to the roster, but like at the end of the day, the $6 million that they don't have to pay him is more valuable than him being on the bench. Then we wanted to get rid of Josh Donaldson because the biggest problem on this team is the left side of the infield. So we were trying to find a partner for Josh
on
Donaldson,
the offensive side. On the offensive side.
Just in general, the left side. Yeah, offensively, the left side of the infield is terrible, and they didn't have a defensive shortstop. So it's a problem. We are trading Donaldson to Arizona, along with prospect Trey Sweeney and $5 million in cash and getting back Mark Melancon. This is a $14 million savings for the Yankees. Mark Melancon was bad in 2022, but he was good in 2021. He had an all-star season in 2021. So maybe the Yankees could, he was a Yankee drafted player way back in the day. Maybe a reunion to Pinstripes will.
How old is he?
Get him back. He's ancient as shit.
Yeah, I think he's like 39.
This is about
just like a fine wine, getting better with age, right?
This is about getting rid of $14 million, getting rid of Josh Donaldson, and relieving some payroll. Baseball trade values with the cash, it comes out to about a wash of about -7 value for each side. So it's was kind of tough to find a partner for Josh Donaldson, as I'm sure you guys went through as well. All right, so now next step, how do we solve the left side of the infield? We are making a free agent signing of Dansby Swanson. We were looking at there's a ton of free agent shortstops, a lot of really good free agent shortstops. Obviously, Carlos Correa, Trey Turner, Bogarts, and Swanson. I don't think Carlos Correa is realistic for the Yankees. I also don't think Bogarts is realistic, which leaves Swanson and Turner. And I think of the two, Swanson, it fits more with what the Yankees would go after, which is an elite defensive shortstop who does have some power in his bat. Swanson is, how old is he? He's 29, right?
Yeah, he's 29.
29 years old. We're signing him to 6 years, $144 million, which is $24 million AAV, which is essentially the same as what Trevor Story got last offseason. And the reason we think that we're able to get Swanson at that is because of all of the other great shortstops on the free agent market. I think is going to drive down the value of some of these guys, not drive up the value, because there's only so many teams willing to pay big money for shortstops, as we saw last year.
Simeon was in that area too last offseason.
Right.
Just on the, kind of saturation of the market.
We're also giving Swanson an opt-out after the second year. He will be 30 years old, so if he chooses to hit the free agent market again, he can do so. But he is an elite defensive shortstop. He's in the 100th percentile for outs above average, and he's had back-to-back seasons of 25-plus home runs and 30-plus doubles. I think he's a great fit for this roster, and you're paying for elite defense at shortstop, something that this team has lacked for a number of years.
Strikes out a lot.
He does strike out a lot. That was
OBP of the last 2 years is 311 and 329.
But if you're getting 25 home runs and 25 doubles out of him and top 100 percentile defense, I think that's okay.
And also what we found really interesting was since 2020, so the shortened season and these last 2 seasons, he's missed two games. 2 games.
Yeah. Yes, that's another big thing.
That was pretty impressive. And obviously the 100th percentile in defense.
He'll still sit on games before the Yankees travel, but hey, that's just the Yankees.
Offensively, he definitely came into a lot more production over the last 2 years. And it's unironically, I guess, is the last 2 years he played, like you said, almost every game. So
yeah. For some reason I forgot to mention, we are signing Aaron Judge to 8 years, $281.6 million, which is $35.2 million AAV, which is $100K above what Carlos Correa got AAV last year, with a vesting option for a 9th year at $35.2 million if he has 500 plate appearances in 2030. 500 plate appearances is not an everyday player, but it means he is probably playing 125 games at DH. So if he gets 500 plate appearances, which is definitely realistic, he gets a 9th year, which brings the total value of the contract to $316.8 million, which I think is very close to what you guys had.
Yeah,
it's slightly below
324. Yeah,
slightly below AAV of Mike Trout, because at the end of the day, Aaron Judge is not Mike Trout, and
you're right. He's a much better player.
Okay. So the next thing we are doing is we're signing Anthony Rizzo. I also agree. Basically, we had the same value for Anthony Rizzo, 3 years, $51 million, which is $17 million AAV. I think the fact that the Yankees could pivot to Brandon Belt, Jose Abreu, or Josh Bell means that they do have a little bit of wiggle room with Rizzo's contract, but I think locking him in for 3 years gets the deal done. He's not opting out for a 2-year deal, because that's essentially the same position he was in anyway, where he has 1 more year and then he's going to sign a 1-year deal. It doesn't make sense to opt out for 2 years. He's going to opt out for a 3-year deal. So call it $17 million a year, $18 million a year, $18.5 million a year, somewhere in that range. The next thing we are doing is a trade with the Milwaukee Brewers. I know you guys said you also looked at some of those arms, but since we signed Dansby Swanson, that means Oswald Peraza is on the trade block. So we're trading Peraza and Clark Schmidt to Milwaukee for Brandon Woodruff. So Brandon Woodruff is a great pitcher, but he's also got 2 more years of team control, and then the Brewers are not going to be able to afford him. So they're going to get some top prospects for him now. Peraza can slot in as a top shortstop prospect, and Clark Schmidt can slot into their major league rotation right away, and they're both cheap. And Brandon Woodruff is making $11 million this year. It's probably going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of like $17 million next year in arbitration, $18 million if he has another good season. Maybe the Yankees sign him to an extension. That's not in our plans, but that's also open for possibility. But this is a elite starting pitching arm to add to the rotation, which I do think is needed, because we are letting Jameson Taillon walk in free agency. So really the rotation is looking at Cole, Severino, because the Yankees picked up Severino's option, Brendan Woodruff, and Frankie Montes. That's a really solid 4 with
disrespect to Nestor Cortez. Complete disrespect.
Of course, Nestor Cortez. I can't believe I forgot Nestor Cortez. He's the number 1 pitcher. He's the number 1 pitcher.
He might just hold out now.
And then our last move, because we want
real quick before you get into the last one, I will. We certainly looked at that. Ilya was circling that Brandon Woodruff deal. So we went Pablo Lopez and another arm as an alternative to that. So I think a similar sentiment. I do like that move. I think that's a deal that could get done for sure. Like I think that's a deal that could get done with the Brewers too. They have.
And the thing
there's
is,
definitely
the Yankees
a trade
could
partnership there potentially.
The Yankees could do it even if they don't sign a shortstop, right? Like if they have to pick, is it Volpe or Peraza that we want to invest in? Trade the other one.
Yeah, we were kind of
for sure.
We were talking this year, or talking about how this offseason feels like the offseason to trade one of them. It's just once you solidify one, the other one's value is going to go down.
And
God forbid, just commit to something. Can we fucking commit to something, please? That's it.
We're also re-signing Matt Carpenter to a 1-year deal for the memes, which means we are adding quite a bit of payroll. Our luxury tax is $277.491 million, which is above the third penalty.
Sure is.
We were exploring a bunch of options to offload Aaron Hicks, to offload Gleyber Torres, to offload Domingo Germán, trying to pinch salary in places. But at the end of the day, all that did was bump us up against the third penalty and not give them any wiggle room anyway. So we said, screw it. They do have a lot of money coming off the books next year. So committed before arbitration eligible players are factored in for 2024 is $166 million.
That would be with the signings that we made.
With the signings that we made.
And the Swanson.
So I think that does give them definitely some flexibility. Adding Mark Melancon, I think, is just a bullpen depth option while they wait for some guys to come back from injuries.
Who are we waiting for injuries?
Healthy. Michael King.
Yeah. Is he coming back next year?
Yeah, he should.
It's a year recovery.
Being ready. No, they were talking about him being ready for spring training because he's not Tommy John.
Okay.
Efros is out all next year.
Efros is out.
I had forgotten that he got Tommy John at that point.
And Luis Hill had Tommy John too.
I'm just saying, like that first year back, as we've seen multiple times, it's really hard to count on those guys.
Mm-hmm. But if there's one thing that I am confident in the Yankees producing, it's bullpen arms. They seem to find bullpen arms one way or the other, whether it's through the system or through the trade market. Chafin's great. We looked at Chafin as well. But I just think for what this team needed more, we wanted to make these moves. I really wanted to figure out a way to sign Andrew Benintendi. We couldn't make it work with the salary we were adding in other areas. And really our decision was what makes this team better.
So who's playing third base?
DJ LeMahieu.
Who's playing? So you kept Gleyber to play second.
Gleyber's on the roster, playing second. Dansby Swanson at short. Rizzo at first, and the utility infielder is Oswaldo Cabrera.
Who's playing left field?
It's a good question. It's going to be Aaron Hicks to start, and a combination of Oswaldo Cabrera. But the rest of the team is upgraded. I think that's okay. And if you need to go out and acquire Ian Happ at the trade deadline, we can do that.
Yeah, okay. So that was a trade that we talked about. Ian Happ makes about $10.5 million next year. Got 1 year left. Doesn't have a ton of value, but good player, good defender, switch hitter. So we kind of said, if they address shortstop and sign a big shortstop and have Judge and have Rizzo and go get a pitcher, they can have Aaron Hicks start in left field. And then obviously if it becomes an issue at the deadline, continued issue, there's not a kid, Oswaldo doesn't step up there, maybe they can go out and get Ian Happ.
Okay. You know what though? If Andrew Benintendi's going to sign for $13 million, I'll not sign.
I already went up on mine. We had room. See, we had.
Okay, what? $15 million?
Call it 15. Yeah.
Okay, not I won't sign Matt
Plug it in.
Carpenter, so there's $1 million off, and it's like you can find a trade partner for Domingo Germán, and you can be $7 million under the top luxury tax. Like, fine, do that instead. Like, if
I mean, you have to address left field. You can't walk into left field. You can't walk into the season with Aaron Hicks playing left field. You just cannot do that. And the problem I have with LeMahieu starting at third base as like the everyday guy is the injuries. So here's where I'm going to push back and shit on your plans a little bit, is that by not starting one of those shortstops that we have in the system, it's essentially saying that, one, you're losing leverage on Volpe now, and you have a guy that's signed for multiple years in Dansby Swanson at second base or at shortstop.
With an opt-out after 2 years.
Okay, so assuming that there's an opt-out, let's just say that opt-out is he opts in and he's your guy for the 5 years.
Move Volpe to second base, and Gleyber walks in 2 years.
Yeah. Okay. So we saw when you move Gleyber to one position or another, it didn't work out as well. I don't know. It's non-committal. It's going out and getting a guy that's a strength in your system. Like, the strength in your system is Anthony Volpe right now. So to me, spending the money on a guy like Dansby Swanson, who does strike out a lot, I don't think even fits offensively this team all that great. Yes, good defense, but I don't know. To me, it feels like that the Yankees would still be indecisive in that point and not commit to the guy that they have coming up. He's the guy coming up. Like, build around him.
You have Swanson as shortstop. That's a lockdown shortstop. So you make a decision with Volpe. We're moving you to third base, or we're moving you to second base.
You can say that, but it's not. That doesn't just happen. That doesn't just happen by moving his position. He's a shortstop. That's why I'm saying it doesn't happen.
Okay, fine. So day one of spring training.
What happened to IKF when they moved from third base to shortstop? It wasn't good. Yeah, my point is that there's still deficiencies. By spending the money at shortstop, or you already had a strength, there are now deficiencies.
We don't know if Anthony Volpe can play shortstop at the major league level. We know Dansby Swanson can play shortstop at the major league level. And if you're re-signing Aaron Judge, which we all want to do, this team needs to win next year.
Yeah, I agree. That's why having Aaron Hicks starting in left field and LeMahieu as your starting third baseman with all of he's an injury risk right now. Like, it is what it is. That is the case. You cannot depend on him for a full season at third base. So at that point, you're looking at Oswaldo Cabrera to play third base and left field. With
I think Stanton will play some outfield again. I know he's an injury risk as well, but you have no choice there. You have to put him in left field a couple days a week.
I will be shocked if they go after a shortstop, and I will be, unless they trade Volpe into another piece that can help them right now. Unless they trade both of those guys, I would be completely shocked. And I don't think Peraza's the guy. I don't think he's the guy at shortstop, the long-term guy. Well, so I think it does make a ton of sense to trade him. But then if they're going to spend the money, they got to spend it around the kid instead of in place of the kid, because now you have this guy who's going to rot in AAA, or just like he's going to be putting pressure on. If Dansby Swanson comes out of the gate, we're going to be in the same situation we were in this year with indecisiveness.
No, the same situation would be having IKF as your fallback plan if Volpe doesn't work out, or IKF starting a couple days a week.
He's not a fallback plan.
Dansby Swanson, there's no confusion here. You're signing Dansby Swanson to a 6-year contract worth $24 million a year. He's the shortstop. There's no gray area.
No, I know, and I disagree with that. That's because of the biggest asset that the Yankees have in their farm system, and one that they believe is going to be a very good player, is ready for the major leagues.
If you're signing a shortstop, you gotta. I think Volpe becomes the guy that gets moved. You can move him for like a Corbin Burns or something like that.
Yeah, you got to get rid of him, because otherwise you have no leverage anymore. You have to trade him.
So my question was going to be:
you can turn him into a second baseman or a third baseman if you truly believe Volpe is going to be a better player than Peraza. Okay, which every scout, everyone thinks is true. Then that's the person you make into another thing. He's still young enough to do that.
It didn't work with Gleyber.
Yeah. What do you mean?
Gleyber's mentally weak.
We don't know what Anthony
Gleyber was
Volpe
a shortstop, but
he was a shortstop. But then
he's
I'm saying
better
when you move a guy around,
it's not a shortstop.
My point is that when you move guys around and you're just acting like it's an easy thing to do, like no problem, just move him to third base, move him to second. It's not that simple. It doesn't work all the time. A lot of times it doesn't work.
A lot of times it doesn't work, but you could actually say with Gleyber, it did work. He's been a better second baseman than shortstop.
That's fine, but he's still, the offensive prowess isn't what we thought it was going to be either. So,
well, that's a whole different story. Like,
well, not really, because it fucked him up because of the field thing. They tried to
moved him
around.
back and forth. They moved him back and forth. He was a second baseman, then he was a
Volpe.
shortstop, then he was a second baseman again. I'm not proposing you move him back and forth. I'm saying
if
you're
Glaber is playing
baseman,
second base, he's your second baseman. Then where's Volpe even playing?
Third base.
So now LeMahieu's positionless again and going to be going all over.
He could be,
and probably
playing
on the
third
IL
base a day a week, playing second base a day a week, playing first base a day a week.
You guys are having DJ. You guys are having DJ at second base every day, correct?
DJ at second base every day. Yeah, I think he needs every day consistency, but also I think second base is easier to replace, and I think that's where Cabrera could fit in if needed. Or fuck it, IKF could go over there for a little bit, but like IKF gives you flexibility at least for positions as a utility guy, not a starting player.
Did you guys look at the Japanese left fielder that's going to be posted?
Not seriously.
Yosha.
I don't know enough about those guys, and it's just such a crapshoot with where they're going to go that it's really hard to define that.
That's another. We were like, oh, could that be a cheaper option than Benintendi? But again, we came back to the Seiya Suzuki contract, so that's probably what this guy's looking at. He's like, profiles to be a really great offensive player. They said Stephen Kwan with more power, which
I mean, shit.
Made it
his career strikeout rate in Japan is exactly that of Stephen Kwan's last year. But
I love that.
His defense seems to be a little bit more of a question mark. Plus, you never. My point was, you kind of never know what you're going to get with the guys when they come over from Japan, if it's going to translate or not.
And if you're going to be spending $13, $14, $16 million on a left fielder, just sign Benintendi at that point.
Yeah, because you hope he's Benintendi, to be honest.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, no, I think he does profile to be a more potent offensive player than Benintendi.
But less of a defender in a very tough left field.
Less of a defender.
High average with like 20 home run power versus high average with no home run power in Benintendi. But I would value Benintendi's elite left field defense over... If everything else is equal, give me the defender in the field. I really want to sign Benintendi, so we're adding Benintendi to this plan. We're saying screw it. Like
it's not going in the graphic. It's not going in the graphic.
100, 200, and our payroll would be $288 million. So what's the difference between that and 270?
Because you're already over. That's why you're saying that. But because you're already over.
The only reason there's a chance that they go to that level is because there's nobody there next year, and that they could drop right back under, and this would be their second year going over the tax. It would be the only possible reason that they don't care.
If they sign Aaron Judge to a 9-year deal, they better fucking win in the next. That's why that's the reason why I was fine with the Chris Bryant move. Like it's adding salary for 5 years. It's at $26 million. Like that's not something to sneeze at by any means. But what it does is it shows commitment to adding good players for longer term and not dicking around for like, this is a guy that can come in here and play and help this team for the next 4 years, which is probably your next window, 3 to 4 years.
What happens if Volpe in your plan is not ready through spring training? He has a bad spring training.
But that's the point. We've seen him at every level. We've seen him at every level.
I'm just asking, what is your plan? Is IKF your plan?
No, he's the guy. You commit to Anthony Volpe and you live with that situation. Is he going to come out? Is he going to come out like blazing on fire? Probably not. But what you do is you commit to that plan and you commit to that guy and you trust what you've seen and you trust your scouts and you trust the numbers and you surround him with talent to give him the best opportunity to win. Put him in a position in the lineup where he's got guys in front of him and behind him that are protecting him and will give him a better opportunity. And to me, that is going and spending some money in a couple other places to solidify the rest of the positions, and also are looking at injuries we know happen. You better be prepared for them, because this year what we saw, we saw what happens when injuries become the problem for even when your roster is in a good place on paper. And that's what happened with the Yankees this year. I do think that they had good moves, but they unfortunately were bitten by an injury bug. Pretty dramatic.
The plan is to let Volpe work through it, but if for whatever reason injury or it's just not happening, you do have Oswaldo Cabrera and IKF on the bench as emergency options. Not emergency; they're fully capable of playing the position, but you want to have Volpe starting. And then with Volpe up in the majors, you have Trey Sweeney down in the minors who gets bumped up to AAA, so he's working there as well as your.
Did you guys have Aaron Hicks's full contract going to Miami?
Aaron Hicks? No, it's Colorado.
Aaron Hicks going to Colorado. Who's going to Miami?
Glaber.
Just prospects? Glaber and prospects. Right.
Glaber and prospects. Yeah. Peraza's the headliner there.
Yeah.
Not to really switch gears, I'm just curious. Did you guys look at the Cleveland Arms at all?
No.
I did it for a minute, but
they have a rap of doing that in the past. We were looking at Bieber because of how much money he's going to make, basically being in the same spot as Bauer when they traded him. And
Bauer's going to be
same
available.
situation.
I'm surprised nobody.
Bauer is available. We talked about it for about 3 seconds. But yeah, I thought
for the record,
that...
we didn't. We stood on our moral high ground. Yeah, we didn't talk about it.
Of course. Yeah. Did you talk about Jacob deGrom though while you were at it?
No.
So the Cleveland Arms, because like we were looking at Bieber, because Cleveland has a history of trading their stud pitchers before they become free agents. Like that's interesting. It's just like
it would be similar to Woodruff. Honestly, it would be.
I like the Woodruff deal
as well.
But I think you got to give
like
more
anyway.
for Bieber. Do you guys agree? You got to give more for Bieber than for Woodruff?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, 100%.
I've also seen Bieber in the playoffs, and it's like,
the Woodruff deal
good in the playoffs.
is
he's a monster.
I mean, one thing, we had that interesting mailbag from, when did I read that? I think I read that before I talked to Andy Martino from Football Film Room, who outlined the Yankees' deficiencies in low-scoring games in the playoffs. And one of the reasons is because they consistently get out-pitched by other teams starting pitching. Even if the Yankees starting pitching isn't bad, right? We look at it, it's like, oh, they pitched 5 innings and only gave up 2 runs. Like, that's not a bad start. That keeps you in the game. But the other pitcher went 6 2/3 and only gave 1 run, right? So, like, a pattern of consistently getting out-pitched in the playoffs, even if their pitching is still good. It's like, you don't score a lot of runs in the playoffs, so you need that elite starting pitching to go a little bit deeper in the game so your bullpen isn't leaned on as heavily. Like, it's a domino effect. Adding Brandon Woodruff really gets them one step closer to having multiple elite starters in a 5 or 7 game playoff series.
Doesn't help if you could have 7 elite starters. If you're batting 190 in the playoffs, you're fucked.
Well, okay, of course, but like the point of this mailbag was that teams very rarely score more than 4 runs in postseason games. But in games where the Yankees score 4 runs or fewer, their winning percentage is abysmal. Whereas like the Astros, and he even compared it to the Yankees of the 90s dynasty, they won games scoring less than 4 runs. How do you win games scoring less than 4 runs? Your pitching is better.
For sure. I understand.
Like even in those situations though, like the teams like the Astros and the Yankees from the 90s were only winning at like a 500,
it was
500 clip. Like the Yankees were like just that level of bad. It wasn't like the Astros are going out playing 600-700 baseball when they score less than 4
they're
runs,
500 in
like
those games.
You got to be a 500 team when you score less than 4
you also
runs.
have to be opportunistic and be able to convert in opportunities when there are opportunities.
So
and
there was
other problem. So
there was
I understand what you're saying,
question.
but the fact that they can't score 2 runs in a game is a problem. 3
Well, hold
runs
on.
in a game
So
is a problem.
there was a trivia question that the Yankees have only won 1 game in the postseason, scoring fewer than 2 runs. Do you remember the game?
Ask the question again.
I do.
It was the Yankees have only won since this era of Yankees baseball since 2015 has only won 1 playoff game when they score only 1 run. Do you remember the game?
I don't remember the game.
How do you not remember the game?
Because I don't remember what I did yesterday.
Someone who had some extra bones in his feet hit a home run off Andrew Miller.
Right.
Swinging a drive.
That's right.
So, but like obviously
he's a free
1
agent.
run.
He's a free
One
agent.
run.
He's a first base option.
It's like the one you don't expect to win scoring 1 run, but like other teams win more games than the Yankees when they score fewer runs. The Yankees, I think, were like 1 in 15 scoring fewer than 3 runs or something crazy like that. And like the Astros are 7-7. So it's like it's a huge difference.
I mean, look, that's a interesting stat, I guess. I don't know what the fuck it means, to be honest, because what they did,
it means they're consistently getting out pitched in the starting pitch.
It also means that they're not hitting the damn ball either.
But the point is no one hits in the playoffs. Okay.
That's not true. That is not true. People get hits in opportune times. That's the difference between the opportunistic hitting is where the Yankees suck and have sucked for years.
Yep.
And that is,
are the Yankees worse at that than other teams? Yes.
Yes.
But they're not like so far and away worse that like a lot
they've
of
also
people
had
think.
clearly dominant bullpens and they've bolstered, their pitching staff in the past, and it still has been the offense that has let them down if you're looking at particular situations. So, and on paper, they did a lot of those things last year. Injuries happened with King. Like if King's healthy through the year and we don't see like the big drop off from the back of the rotation, Marinaccio is healthy, we could be singing a different tune. Like they had the pieces in place.
All right. Anything else?
I mean, it's so clear who won this, to be honest. Yeah. No?
I think that there's too many unrealistic things, and like the Marlins are not trading away two young
they
arms
almost
for
did.
Gleyber
It was
Torres.
almost
and they didn't. Why do you think they didn't? Because maybe they came to their senses and realized Gleyber Torres.
It was
does
the Yankees
nothing
who
for
said
us.
no on the deal, and
why are they trading?
because
Edward Cabrera again?
they're trying
his
to get
value's
rid
low.
of pitching for outfielders. That's something they're actively trying to do with them getting Florial and Pereira back.
And Pereira.
I don't see the Marlins needing or wanting Gleyber Torres at this stage. He is a slightly above average second baseman who makes too much money in arbitration and is going to be a free agent in 2 years.
Cool. We'll ship him off somewhere else and whatever. Bottom line is
Chicago makes more sense. Because
it did, but
Chicago is competing,
What
right?
do you get
Chicago's
from him?
competing
Was
and they
the
don't have a
question.
second baseman.
Yeah.
And you add Gleyber to Chicago and it's like, okay, but like who are we getting back?
I was
from
looking
Chicago?
at
nobody.
I was
Who's the
looking at
you had
I
one
was
guy,
looking
the
at Aaron
lefty.
Bummer.
Yeah, we had that
we had
trade
him
as
too.
well. But it's like at the end of the day, I just think that's like doesn't really make sense for either side.
And we started dumping salary there. We were like, oh, you could have Aaron Hicks. AJ Pollock opted out.
Yeah, here's another one. Look, first of all, I really hope that they don't go down the route you said, because I want Volpe in the major leagues. I think that this team needs a guy like that. They need a guy like that.
I would be cool with that as well, but again, I know it's not going to happen.
What are we doing? What are we doing if we're bringing up a guy at this level who's gotten all the hype that he does and has performed at every single level and is ready for the major leagues by looking at everything he's done? What are we doing if we're going out and signing a different guy from another team when we have potentially Dansby Swanson sitting right there in front of us that is controlled and very cheap, when you could spend the money around it and let this guy play because he's got the talent? Everybody agrees to that. So why are we shying away from that? Because
They've
of the
never done it.
unknown?
Yes, they don't do it. They never do it.
Well,
They never do.
they need to. They need to. There's
We'll see if
they're gonna screw up the value of both of those guys if they don't. Also,
Yep. Oh, have they ever screwed up the value of prospects before?
I mean, right now with two of these guys at the shortstop position, it's never been more apparent that if they were to sign a shortstop, they would be completely shooting themselves in the foot.
Let's go down the list of prospects that they've completely screwed the value of. Devi
Do
Garcia,
this right now.
Miguel Andujar,
Gary Sanchez.
I could
Gary
argue that they
Sanchez.
didn't screw
Not Gary
Andujar
Sanchez.
up, but he just
Clint Frazier.
Clint Frazier and Miguel Andujar could have been traded for Garrett Cole.
Gleyber Torres. I said that yesterday. They could have had anybody they wanted for Gleyber.
yes, they could have.
So
Well,
it's like
it may have been what's his face from Detroit that wouldn't have worked out.
Michael Fulmer.
Yeah,
They have a history of
we could sign
of-
him.
They have a history of both trading away prospects and having it be like nothing, meaning that prospect never turns into anything. Example, Justice Sheffield. But they also have a history of hanging on to prospects too long, and then
So all their prospects are nothing.
That's what I was just gonna say. Their prospects all stink, except for the tippy top guys, like because they haven't had a
Like
Volpe
Volpe.
since we did this. We did this like probably almost a year ago when we went through like their top, like the last time the Yankees had top prospects. Like Gleyber was a tippy top prospect in baseball.
Aaron Judge,
Before that,
But he wasn't
But
there.
Judge
not
wasn't
even a
even-
top
he was
guy like at that point.
no, I mean Gleyber wasn't even their guy, like you said. I mean, like Sanchez was like top 30 guy in baseball at one
Yeah,
point.
when he was
Yep.
6, when he was 17.
and then like
18.
Jesus
Thairo
Montero
Estrada
was like
and
top.
Jorge Mateo are
I mean,
around.
after the 2016 rookie season for Gary Sanchez, they could have got anyone in baseball for him.
Anyone. Yeah, but who could have guessed that he would have done that?
Oh, I know. And I didn't want them to trade him. I'm just saying, like,
That was the
if
future.
if we're talking about their ability to evaluate prospects and make decisions and trade them at peak value, they have not been able to do that.
But I almost
All
think that the Sanchez thing was a testament to them messing it up more than it was Sanchez regressing so quickly.
I think they screwed Sanchez up, and he was never
I'm
going to be an elite
not
defensive player.
going that far. He has a very large hand in screwing up his own career as well.
He's not
100%.
absolved of everything, but I think
he's very
the
was
coaching
very talented,
change.
and
The coaching change in 2018 did not do him any favors.
That's like okay.
It didn't. He was an all-star player under Joe Girardi.
We're not supposed to
in that
say his
coaching
name.
staff.
Yeah, he's a free agent. I'm surprised you don't have him in your plans. So
got-
everybody's
we
good.
got
Everybody's
Benny
good with the
Biceps
catching situation.
Coming back.
Everyone's good with the catching situation going into 2022. Ilya had a deal on there that I didn't agree with because I don't think they're going to go after this. Although it was interesting is to go Grandal in a deal for Chicago. I don't see them putting Trevino as a second. Fiddle
Here's the
to
thing I
anybody
think
at this
happened
point.
with Trevino this year. I think he played so much better in the first half than they expected that they played him too much and he got worn out. So I think what they have to do next year is just be a little bit more even in playing time, even if one guy is outplaying the other. And we also looked at like, would they want to get rid of Higgy's 1.7 or 1.8 million? It's like,
no, I think he was more than that. I think he was like 3. But I think there is a world where they might just say, we're good. We'll back up with vet, who they obviously like.
I don't think it's this year.
The name that
I
they
think
keep going around.
They're fine with Higgy and Trevino, basically like 60%, 40%. Trevino getting slightly more playing time.
At the end of the day, if you look at that position and you go outside of the organization, you will get worse on the defensive side and the receiving side. And I think that if they did that, it would be so short-sighted because of the impact that I believe Trevino has with the rotation, that Higgy has familiarity. It's not a broken piece of this pie. They should absolutely keep it intact and allow for growth. Like sometimes you should allow for growth also, and just like let things happen as they do, with people getting better and getting to know each other and more chemistry, and because that works also. That is, you can't just add pieces and then like magically everything works. Sometimes
until there's robot umps, and then when there's robot umps, just put a big ogre back there and let him mash.
Fine, then Gary Sanchez gets value again, maybe.
All right, that's gonna wrap up this general manager offseason edition of the podcast. We'll see which moves we were right on, what we were wrong on, what they do. Should be interesting. It's always interesting. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you have not already done so, go check out the YouTube channel. We've been posting all of the videos. We've been streaming a little bit over there. We streamed when we reacted to the end of season press conference, and we've got some fun things planned for the offseason. We will talk to you guys next week.